Well, welcome to this sixth video in our series on how to play Legends of Eisenwald. In this particular video, we're actually going to be focusing on the camera and the map. Here's the map, and let's first talk about the camera. Now, how do you control the camera? It is done with the right mouse button. I click on the ground somewhere, not on our hero or anybody else, and I can then, if I hold it down, I can do a drag. I can rotate the camera. I can have the camera go up and down to some extent, and I can use the right mouse button, or excuse me, middle mouse wheel to zoom in and zoom out. Now we're somewhat constrained how far we can zoom out, as well as how much we can tilt the camera down. The reason for this is if we look at the map, we can see that there's this whole area that there's actually the whole map. But we'll soon discover that our hero can only go so far. He cannot go exploring everywhere inside this map. He can only go within about this square here. The reason for that is as long as he's within that area, let's say we try to look off screen this way, and we could see underneath this there's only swamp, that when I'm looking off the edge of the screen, I cannot see off the edge of the screen. I just see swamp, so it gives a realistic feeling. Now, if our hero were to try to go down, he came from the swamp, you notice he can only go so far. He can't actually go into the swamp. So this is a kind of an invisible boundary of where our hero can walk. Let's go back to talking about the map for a second, since now we know that the camera is limited somewhat in its movement, but you can get a decent perspective in how it works. You have the same kind of movement also in battle. I didn't show that before, but we'll take advantage of that at times. So let's go and look at the map. Let me turn off all these buttons. I had them all on. And so when you have everything off, you see that your hero is over here. And actually there's a bit more of the screen that's not even shown by the map. So there's this inner square that is where your hero can move. There's a middle square where your map is actually shown, and then there's a bit more that is actually not in your map, which when your hero's looking off, that's what he can see. Just make sure that's all clear. You can zoom in on your map on the different parts. You can drag if you want to, so you can see more specifically. You can zoom in about 3.5 if you want to. Usually is at 1, so you can see the whole thing. And we can turn these things on and off. So let's explain what each one is. So the obvious one is that we like to know what the names of these different buildings are. So if we click this, we get names, or we will get names once we turn off show buildings. So you need to have the buildings so you actually see them with these icons, and then you can get the descriptions. So with the show buildings on, we have little different icons that describe the different type of building. So here's a church icon, this is a castle icon, this one here, and there is a little village icon that can produce money potentially. So we see there's two castles, they're lit differently or colored differently. This is our friendly color, this is our non-friendly color. We can also show coat of arms, which we can see that this is the enemy coat of arms, this is our friend's coat of arms, and our guy here, if he was a little further up, you would see, excuse me, you're not going to see him until I click show armies with the show coat of arms. Actually, I'm not seeing him for some reason. He should be a little purple one. Let's see if I move him up, he's kind of at the edge of the screen, so that's acting a bit weird. Okay, so now he has his little purple icon above him, and you see him on the map. He's kind of roughly placed. So this is our hero. This is an icon that's a neutral icon. These four are own direct. They're directly associated with our main friend here. These two armies are actually not our friend armies, but they're related to things that happen with respect to our friend, which is why they have that coat of arms, which is a bit weird. And finally, you may or may not want the coat of arms on, but you probably want the description on, and that tells you the names of the different buildings and stuff. Okay, so that explains how the map works. This is the journal. I'll talk about that in the next video, but we saw that we could move around, we can rotate the camera, we can look at the map so we don't get lost. And finally, I just want to make a quick mention that buildings may or may not be open depending on where they are and when they are in the scenario. Initially here, these buildings are all closed, so we try to go to the church for healing. Let's go here to the church. It doesn't let us in. If we go to the fair, we actually see the fair, but we don't see any market that we can buy anything in, so that's a bit disappointing. That ends our sixth video on using the camera and the map. Thanks.